I believe that there is good in everything, and I also believe that it's possible to find good in anything, um, whether that be bad things, negative things, things that are commonly seen as events that you should have a certain reaction to. I think, especially myself and people with neurodivergency will understand that you think that you need to have a certain reaction to a certain event or stimulus, and you think that because other people react in this way to something that you have to be the same. You from my point of view, a lot of the actions that I've learned and reactions have been studied and understood by watching other people do it. And it's not, not to say that anyone else that isn't neurodivergent wouldn't have that same thought, because people are sheep. As tough as it sounds and as harsh as it sounds, people are, we have developed to follow the crowd and take our actions based off someone else's. And I think if we do that, you end up in this position where something happens and you believe that it is right to feel a certain way. Something happens and it is right to be upset, and it is right to cry or be depressed or anything like that. And I'm not saying that isn't a right thing. I think it's an amazing thing to experience, and good comes from it. But what I am saying is that you don't have to experience that. And even in situations where, you are sad or upset or down, what is it to say that you have to wallow in that and let it consume you and let it spiral and become this big dark cloud of negativity? Myself, I experienced this yesterday actually. I was in this situation that involved a lot of very strong feelings and emotion and care, and it upset me, and I found myself, I'm not ashamed to say, in floods. In floods. But that's not to say that from there I need to be sad or upset or anything like that. I think the wonderful thing about developing myself and studying philosophy is that being in that moment, typically something upsets a person to a point where they're crying, they take it as, from here, that must mean I have to feel awful, and that must mean I have to wallow in it and make myself more upset. And for me, I found myself only appreciating it. And as raw as it still is, and as upset I am about what happened, I still find myself appreciating and saying, to be in a position where these sorts of emotions are coming out of me must mean that I have felt something so strong and so amazing. And this doesn't just apply to relationships. It can apply to any walk of life, anything that you care enough about. A person, a thing, a workplace, a city even. Anything you care about enough. I think it's a wonderful thing to know that you care so much about something that these kind of reactions are unwillingly being forced out of you. And I could have very easily, in a situation where you're being split up with, as hard as it is to say, I think your reaction to that shows a lot. And that's multifaceted, because it shows a lot in that it shows how you feel, and that it's wonderful that you felt like that, but it also shows how you're able to feel. And myself being someone who revels in solitude, and for as long as I can remember, I have seeked peace and silence and solitude. For me to be in a position where I have this level of emotion and care, it was showing myself that you're capable of having these feelings and feeling so strongly about something. It was refreshing. And like I've said many times previously, it is dependent on you how your reaction from something is. Anyone in the position that I'm in could have any reaction, and it's all dependent on them. And a lot of people like to think it's out of their control and think that it's down to the way they're brought up or their genetics or anything like that. And although that plays a big part, most of your character is shaped when you're a child. The things you experience and the things you're taught plays a big role in that. But it's not to say that you've developed this when you were a child and then that's it, you're stuck at that. That's not the case. You always have the decision on where something goes. And for some it might be tougher than others. For some people that are more reactive and maybe have grown up around situations where it's seen as a good thing to just really feel really raw and strongly about how they feel. It's not to say that even that kind of extreme can be understood and changed, completely dependent on yourself. And when you really understand that, you can feel the change in it. You can feel the difference it makes. Because I've been in situations where I've been very upset by something or someone or some event, and have that standard reaction of just giving up almost and saying that this is this has happened to me and therefore I will be sad until who knows. And having developed myself and tried to understand myself to a certain extent, it's got me to this point where I'm able to just take a step back and live in the moment, and instead of saying, I've been moved to the point of tears, this must mean that I will now feel bad for days, weeks, months, years. I'm able to say there is so much good from this, and I can see that I've got to the point of this much emotion, and to be able to feel that is a blessing almost, and I'm so thankful for it. And although you might feel like it's not gone your way and the situation hasn't occurred how you want it to, it doesn't mean that it's not a good outcome. It can completely depend on you. And I think if more people were to understand that truly, they'd get so much more quality from their life, and they wouldn't have a situation where something goes wrong and they use that as their out or their excuse. I've touched on before the thing of the path of least resistance, and how the human body naturally follows that and follows the easy thing because it wants to make your life easy. It's no fault of your own. That's how humans are wired, to just go with the flow. That's why you hear everyone say that. But in no sense should that mean that you have to. And I think a lot of people misinterpret it as having to stick with this stereotypical reaction to something. You could have something amazing happen to you and see it as a negative if you want. I'm not saying that you should, but you can. You could get a promotion and work and think, that means I've got to work harder or work more. It's up to you. And some people might do that. That's why you label people as pessimists or realists or anything like that. You don't have to be any one of them. You can pick and choose on a day-by-day basis if you want. And if people were to start trying to work on that, I think they'd find a lot more joy. Because you can allow events to occur without losing yourself. Being the rock while the water flows past you, having to have the ability to just sit and be present and let the flow of time come towards you, through you, and then out of you. And you don't have to be taken with that flow. And a lot of people are in negative situations. The present will occur and it will instantly go into the past, and then they go with it because it's an outcome they didn't want, or they try and cling on to any memory of positivity that was before this bad thing happened. and to try and change that mindset and be the rock, be that present being that you're supposed to be. Every moment that occurs is new and can bring anything. And like I said, it's not to say that you shouldn't feel. If anything, it's the opposite. You should feel stronger, and if you do, you feel shorter. There's a quote from Seneca that might sound harsh to some, but there's reassurance in it. And it's either the pain ends or I end. Either way, there is an end to it. And for me, I found reassurance in that, you know, there's always going to be an end to something, to anything, whether it be good or bad. Either you end or it ends, but either way, there is an end point. So, to know that, and to allow yourself to truly feel, it can let these occurrences, like I say, happen and wash over you, and you stay living presently. And although it can make some people sway towards hopefulness in future, it stops dwelling on the past, and I think that could be worse. You know, dealing with the future is another thing. It's hopefully another thing that I'm able to touch on at some point. But to have the ability to sit and really feel and let the emotion occur and live presently in it, you fully experience it, and that allows it to come and go. And then you take each moment how it is. And anyone can experience it. It doesn't matter who you are. So, if it's something that you can work on, and it's something that you want to work on, it will bring you a lot. If you watch this, thank you. But like I say, this isn't for you, this is for me. But if there is added benefits that come from this, of people hearing and understanding it, then it makes it all the more better. So, have a good day.